I'm Olek Novak, this is Chasing Cars, and today you and I get to be part of a very special and exclusive club experiencing this, the BMW XM Label Red edition. Now, if you didn't think the regular $300,000 XM was exclusive enough, nor the regular Label Red, then this Label Red edition is one of only 500 units made around the entire world. Not only that, but only 30 were allocated for Australia. Pretty special stuff. Let's hope I don't curb the wheels. Now, Chasing Cars has already experienced the regular XM, but today is all about stepping it up a notch and experiencing what almost $400,000 of high-performance luxury V8 bi-turbo plug-in hybrid electric SUV feels like. Not only that, we're also going to spend a bit of time checking out the M Lounge, so I look forward to showing you that a bit later on in the video. Oh, and did I also mention this is the most powerful M car ever made in history? A lot to take in. So before we do all of that, make sure you hit like, subscribe, and if you don't already, make sure you follow us on Instagram and TikTok, where we post daily videos, including lots of behind the scenes content. Chasing Cars, honest reviews of your next car.
Brought to you by
It's not exactly subtle, is it? And at over 5 meters in length, it's not exactly small either. Now, we've all read the comments online, we've all seen the memes about some modern BMW designs, and we've seen words used to describe this, such as ghastly or ostentatious, but that also kind of misses the point of what this car intends to do. Now, BMW has entered a highly lucrative market, and it's got to stand out against ostentatious vehicles like the Bentley Bentayga, the Lamborghini Urus, the Aston Martin DBX, and the Mercedes-Benz G-Class. So really, this car is doing what it's intended. And like it or lump it, you can't deny that it does have some incredible street presence and it turns heads. It stands out, and that's what it intends to do. So in that regard, it's doing a good job, whether you like it or not. Now, the XM already stood out in its regular form, but the Label Red edition takes that and then steps it up a notch even more. Some key differences with this vehicle are the frozen black carbon paint. Not only that, but you've got some specific alloy wheels to this car. They're black with some red inserts, and then I don't really need to point it out, but it's got some not so subtle red accents all along the car, so you definitely won't miss it on the road. Now, it's definitely a bit of a design statement. I like to think of it as a bit of a McMansion of cars, but let us know in the comment section what you think of the BMW XM, specifically in the Label Red edition. This is a pretty special cabin, and for almost $400,000, you'd hope it would be. So does it feel opulent? Yeah, it feels pretty opulent. Does it feel solid and well built? It does. It feels really good. Nice to the touch, all the materials are really good, and of course this is the Label Red edition, so it differentiates itself from the regular XM because you can see the black and red theme continues. On the seats we've got beautiful merino leather, so they're really nice to the touch and really comfortable. So you've got that, you've got red accents, you've got this carbon fiber theme all across the inside here as well, and that's got a lot of blue and red accents to it as well. So again, the black and red theme might not be to everyone's taste, and if you watch our review on the Chasing Cars channel of the regular XM, I think that vehicle was probably a bit more to my taste in the interior because it had that beautiful lighter kind of colors inside, and it had a lovely vintage leather with kind of coffee brown colors. So the black and red definitely stands out. Might not be to everyone's taste, but when you get the black and red of the Label Red edition, you also get a little plaque on the inside, which signifies that you've got 1 in 500 vehicles. So it's all about the plaque, right? You'll definitely want to spend up for the black and red leather to have that in the vehicle. But apart from that, it all feels really nice. You've got a great driving position, which just feels really commanding. You do feel like you're king of the road in the BMW XM Label Red edition. The seats, lots of adjustability, so it's easy to find a good driving position. The steering wheel is really nice. And in terms of tech, you've got pretty much all the tech you could ever need, probably more than you'll ever use. The headline of that is the dual screens in front of you. So you've got a 12.3-inch digital instrument cluster for the driver, and then a big 14.9-inch display for the media system next to you. And it's a really good system. It's very smooth, very responsive, very quick to operate, and I found it quite easy to use during my time with the car. Lots of customizability in terms of what you can do, so you can put the car into pretty much any setting you want, adjusting all the individual components from the suspension to the steering to everything to what kind of hybrid mode or electric mode you're driving in. So there's lots you can do with it, and it's a really good system. Now, apart from that, you've also got wireless Apple CarPlay Android Auto. Shout out to the Bowers and Wilkins sound system, which sounds awesome. I found myself when I'm not listening to the sound of the V8 engine, I'm blasting some tunes because it just sounds really crisp. It sounds really good. And again, you'd want that for a car that costs this much money. One negative though, I will say I found the rear visibility to be not very good. So obviously the rear roofline slopes up, so that impacts rear visibility, but also the rear windows are tinted very heavily. So I found at night it was actually quite difficult to change lanes because I couldn't really see the cars next to me. So that's just one thing to note, but the tech is really good. So you've got really good reversing cameras and really high crisp quality with that as well. So those are my impressions of the front of the BMW XM Label Red Edition. But now I'm going to take you on a private tour of the M Lounge in the back seats. Welcome to the M Lounge. That's what BMW likes to call the rear seats of the BMW XM, and it's definitely quite lounge-like. So the rear seats, they're one piece, and I do particularly like how the seat material stretches on into the doors, which is quite cool. So they do feel quite lounge-like. They feel like a couch. They're really comfortable, and I can imagine for a long journey, this would be a really sumptuous place to be in the rear seats. Now, I'm 183 centimeters tall, and you can tell I've got plenty of space. Look at that. Toe room, knee room, leg room, head room. It's all really good. This is a lovely place to be for rear seat passengers. Now, you've got lots of amenities. There's lots of storage space here in terms of the door bins over here and the bottle holders. You've got these lovely map pockets on either side. You've got some hidden USB-C connections in there on either seat as well. You've got some more down here. You've got 4-zone climate control, so either passenger can adjust their settings over here. You've got ventilated and heated seats too. Not only that, but you've got this fold down center armrest with 2 cup holders as well. So overall, the BMW XM delivers in the rear seat. Not only that, but let's check out the roof, because it doesn't have a panoramic glass roof, the BMW XM. Instead, we've got this really cool 3D prism effect on the headlining, which is all illuminated in lots of different color combinations. So you can adjust the settings to create the colors and the vibes to be as per the ambience you want in the cabin. So maybe a bit gimmicky. Some people might prefer a glass roof, but at the same time, it's kind of cool as well and definitely adds to the whole experience of the interior as well. So the M Lounge is really good. I'm going to have a look around. Maybe there's some canapes and light refreshments I can find in here somewhere as well, given it's an M Lounge. Let's check out the boot. All right, so let's check out the boot on the BMW XM Label Red Edition. It's a really quiet and smooth opening tailgate. I like that. Anyway, it opens up to reveal just over 500 litres of boot space. It's a pretty high load lip. There's no underfloor storage in there because it's got all of BMW's plug-in hybrid electric all-wheel drive whiz-bangery in there. But the space is also taken up a bit because you've got this premium XM branded bag that has the charging cables in it, but we'll put that back in there. Now, if you fold the rear seats down, that's going to reveal about 1,800 litres, a bit more than that of boot space if you want more space as well. Unfortunately, no spare wheel, but let's see how it drives. A key theme of this review of the BMW XM, and a word that keeps coming up, is exclusive. And we're going to zero in on that word again because there's another element of exclusivity to the BMW XM, and that is the fact that it is one of only 2 BMWs to ever be made exclusively as an M car. So the only other BMW M exclusive car was the BMW M1, which was made from 1978. Now that is a pretty iconic, extremely desirable and well regarded in terms of its beauty, a sports coupe. Now 40 or so years later, BMW has come out with this, their second ever M exclusive car, and I guess it's also a sign of the times. It is a big SUV, a potent SUV. So the XM is in a very exclusive club of only 2 cars. Now, as I mentioned, the M1 is an iconic vehicle. Will the XM be able to reach that same level of regard 40 years down the track? Not sure about that, but it is an incredible experience to punt it around any road, but also around our test track as we're doing today. Now, in terms of what powers the XM, so it has a 4.4 litre bi-turbo V8 engine coupled with an electric motor that's integrated with the 8-speed automatic transmission. Now, total power outputs of 550 kilowatts and 1,000 Newton meters, and boy does it really goes, as you can probably tell. I'm obviously having to drive a bit more cautiously because I'm presenting a piece to camera, but this is a really potent vehicle. Now, BMW says that it can get from 0 to 100 in 3.8 seconds. Now we tested it out today. We did a launch test of the vehicle, and our best time that we managed to deliver was 3.7 seconds. So we actually managed to achieve that. So let's take a look at some of our performance testing to see what it was like during that, and also some of the oral theatre. You might be able to hear a bit more of that engine right now as we accelerate. But ultimately, I guess that's the first thing you notice about this car is just its sheer power. It is a potent engine. It is an effortless engine. It just feels like it has more and more power, and realistically, I have not been able to experience it to its full extent. You can't do that safely on Australian roads. Really, it needs to be on an autobahn or a similar road like that. I've been able to push it a bit more on our private test track here to really experience just a bit of what it can do, and ultimately it's just a really, really fast and effortless vehicle, and it sounds pretty cool too. Now, apart from its immense power, then there's a second aspect to it, which is its weight. Now, this was something that was mentioned when we reviewed the regular XM, which I haven't driven, but our deputy editor, Kurt Dupre, has. And he made the point that at over 2.7 tons, this car weighs almost as much as two BMW E46 M3s. So that's a lot. Not only that, but it kind of is a bit of a rhino of the road. I've heard that animal used in conjunction to this car, and out of interest, I looked up how much a rhino weighs. The most heaviest rhinos in their absolute extreme are 3,500 kilos. So this, at almost 3 tons, it essentially is a bit of a rhino of the road. So you might be wondering, how does it stop? Well, the brakes feel really good. They're really potent as well. It has really good stopping power, and it performed quite well in our brake testing here on our test track today as well. So it goes really well. It goes very well indeed, and it stops really well. But how does it handle? So at 2.7 tons, that's a really hefty car. You might be thinking that it's only good in a straight line. Well, on what I've been able to experience it, not just here at our test track, but also on some windy roads just as part of my road testing, this car also handles windy, twisty roads with a lot of aplomb as well. So it's got a BMW xDrive all-wheel drive system, which is rear biased, which means you can have a bit of fun with it. And ultimately, I think it's been engineered in such a way that it, despite its weight, despite its size, it actually feels incredibly good on a windy road. The grip is excellent. It feels like it's got really good body control. It hangs on really nicely, and coupled with just that effortless power that you can just step on at any moment to get whatever power you want. It's just a car that kind of makes you feel, with its commanding driving position, like you're a bit of a king of the road. And if the situation is right and you can legally and safely do it, then it feels like you can reach some pretty astonishing speeds and have quite a bit of fun in this car. It's just quite an impressive powertrain all up, and this is the extra spicy edition. I haven't driven the regular XM, which delivers 440 kilowatts and 800 Newton meters of torque. I'm sure that was already enough, but this one steps it up even further to become BMW M's most powerful car ever. Now, ultimately, apart from all those good aspects, I guess in terms of a negative, I guess you could say that the ride is potentially a bit of a negative, because for $350,000, and given its positioning itself as a bit of a ultra premium high-end SUV, you'd want that opulence inside the cabin to be matched by some really good ride quality. And look, it was fine for me, it didn't bother me, but I think if you are spending $400K, then the ride is pretty firm. And on a lot of really bad Australian roads, it does seem to pick up most of the bumps and undulations in anything you drive over with, which does kind of jolt into the cabin. Now, it's not terrible by any means, and in fact, I found it okay to live with, but again, at $400K, that is probably something to consider in terms of that luxury experience. Now, you can play around with all of the drive modes. It's extremely customizable in terms of all the settings, from the steering to the chassis and many other elements there as well, but I didn't find that playing around with the comfort modes, that made too much of an impact in terms of alleviating that firmer ride. So that is just something to consider in that regard. But I guess while that might be a bit of a negative, I guess the ace that this car has up its sleeve is the fact that it's also a plug-in hybrid electric vehicle. So it's got a 25.7 usable kilowatt hour battery, and BMW says that it can travel about 80 kilometers on pure electric power. So you can determine in the settings how you want to drive the vehicle in terms of its ultra efficient mode, in terms of what mode you want to drive it. And it'll stay in pure electric power up to 140 kilometers an hour. Now, we have range tested the vehicle, so stay tuned to a bit later in the vehicle to see if we can match BMW's claimed range on pure electric power as well. But I guess that is an important trick this vehicle has up its sleeve, and it comes to the duality of the car, because you can drive it in its pure electric mode and it's quite quiet, it's quite refined. It's still got plenty of power, obviously not as powerful as when all of the fruit of the V8 engine and the electric motor are working together, but it's still a really effective car in that regard. And you can drive it sedately, charge it overnight, and during the weekdays, drive it as an electric car. Then when you want to experience the joy and the power of the V8 engine and the acoustics that come with that, you can do that. But ultimately, on a road like this, on a test track like this, you want to be experiencing that V8, don't you?
In terms of safety, the XM is not rated or crash tested, but it's loaded with safety features including AEB, lane keep assist, adaptive cruise control, a 360 camera, and blind spot monitoring. Now, do the type of people looking to fork out a bit under 400k on an XM really care about range, efficiency, and running costs? I'm not sure, but we tested it and here are our results. In terms of efficiency and range, BMW says the XM can deliver about 75 to 83 kilometers of WLTP range on pure electric power. We drove the XM from 100% charge to 0% charge in pure electric mode until the petrol motor kicked in. We managed to get 91.4 kilometers with a consumption figure of 27.8 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. This was driving in urban areas continuously at speeds of up to 70 kilometers an hour. Not a bad result. In terms of fuel efficiency, BMW claims the Label Red has an average fuel consumption figure of around 1.7 litres per 100 kilometres. But that's not particularly realistic nor representative of the efficiency when the battery has zero charge in it. Over just under 60 kilometres of a mix of predominantly urban but also some highway driving on a dead battery, we used 13.93 litres of fuel per 100 kilometres. In terms of charging, you aren't able to fast charge the XM. It can accept AC charging at up to 7.4 kilowatts, which means the battery can be replenished in about 4.25 hours. The XM comes with a 5-year unlimited kilometre warranty and 5 years of free servicing is included too.
So this car is an exclusive beast, and beast is a good word to use to describe it. Now, not just in terms of its looks, but also in terms of the potent powertrain that this car offers. And if BMW set out to create an ostentatious SUV that definitely feels a bit special and stands out from the crowd, then they've definitely nailed that brief, because the XM already did that. Then the Label Red edition takes that and then some. And there's definitely going to be some people to whom this car appeals to. Let's just hope there's not more than 500 of those people around the world, and not more than 30 in Australia. Now, those are just my thoughts on the BMW XM Label Red. A fantastic opportunity to experience the Label Red edition and just what the epitome of BMW luxury high-performance SUVs are like. A pretty cool experience. Now, I'm on my way to chill out in the M Lounge. I'm going to see if there's some canapes and refreshments I can get in there. But in the meantime, make sure you like, subscribe, and if you don't already, make sure to follow us on TikTok and Instagram for more behind the scenes content. But for now, thank you for watching Chasing Cars.